There's no hiding the anger. Demonstrators on university campuses in the US demanding an end to the killing of civilians in Gaza. They want their universities to end any and all financial relationships with Israel. It's called divestment, and as far as these students are concerned, it should be pretty simple. But it isn't straightforward, not in the slightest. Because here's the thing. Colleges and universities own hundreds of billions of dollars in shares, snugly tucked away in things called endowments, funds or assets provided by donors. In 2023, higher education in the US received a staggering $58 billion in donations. So how is all of this being spent? The cash universities get from donors is usually invested. The profit from those investments is used to fund what the university needs or wants. Anything from paying for another professor and a new building to student scholarships and a botanical garden. Harvard is the big daddy of them all. It has close to $51 billion held in endowments. That generated $2.2 billion for student financial aid and research last year alone. But breaking up funds like that, which is what the student protesters have been demanding, can be a very complicated business. Let's say the school's administrators hand over $1 million to a hedge fund. Unless rules of investment are agreed to in advance, the fund will direct the cash towards making the biggest profit, wherever in the world that may be, and the deal could tie up the cash for years. Once the train is set in motion, so to speak, it's very difficult getting it to stop. It's also difficult getting information, because while universities might make their portfolio public, the investment firms they've handed their money to might not.
Most of the time, university boards outsource the management of university endowments, university funds, to professional investment managers, so they're not in the weeds of exactly what is going on. This is taking for under the assumption that this is a choice that universities would make. And that choice itself, I think, is going to be a complicated one because of the polarizing nature of this issue in the United States.
But protests demanding divestments have been successful in the past. It worked in South Africa over apartheid in the 1970s and 80s. What's more, in 2015, Columbia became the first university in the US to divest from private prison companies. The university did it by selling its shares in G4S and Corrections Corporation of America. Then in 2019, climate activists at Columbia staged a hunger strike. The students presented a fossil fuel divestment proposal that Columbia's Board of Trustees agreed to 2 years later. So, historically, it's been done. But when you divest, universities also consider the ones who put up the money to do the investing in the first place, namely the billionaires. And billionaire donors are signalling that they've had enough of this sort of thing. Take Columbia University in New York. Robert Kraft is the owner of the New England Patriots football team and a graduate of Columbia. He says he's pulling his support, and we're not talking cents here. In the past, Kraft has thought nothing of writing $3 million checks to his old university. These days, he says Jewish students don't feel safe. Then there's billionaire investor Leon Cooperman. Over the years, he's given Columbia $50 million. He's now saying he's going to cut back. So donors have power, and universities might well get nervous about any divestment that could upset one of them. Of course, endowments from donations aren't universities' only income stream. Costs are also funded by the students themselves in fees. Local taxes and college sports also help raise cash. In 2023, the federal government chipped in $83.9 billion to colleges across the US. Sounds like universities can control where that money goes, right? Thing is, now some politicians want the federal government to cut that funding unless universities do more to stop what's being seen as anti-Israel sentiment.
The cherished traditions of this university are being overtaken right now by radical and extreme ideology. They place a target on the backs of Jewish students in the United States and here on this campus.
But some new polling will raise concerns among the pro-Israel lobby, like this survey, conducted shortly after the war on Gaza started, suggests more than half of 18 to 34-year-olds in the US disapprove of Israeli government policy. Among these young people will be the leaders and donors of tomorrow. Soon, US policy in the Middle East and the way endowment funds invest their money could be influenced by them.